How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 3.
Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. Delighted to have you with me. The phone number is 877-973-7425 should you wish to be on the program. Don't forget to text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777. Get the show notes, the live stream, the podcast. If you text golf to 33777, you can find out more about the Van Allen golf putter. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here. Just bear with me here. I want to play you some audio. I want to play you audio from MSNBC in the year of our Lord 2012.
It's time, as it always is, for What Now? Boston Bruins goalie Tim Thomas, RSVP, thanks, but no thanks to a White House invitation. What do we make of that? Tim Thomas points out that Tim Thomas said, I exercise my right as a free citizen and did not visit the White House. This was not about politics or party, as in my opinion, both parties are responsible for the situation we are in as a country.
I think this is kind of the hyper-partisanship that just irritates everybody. It's like, just go to the White House. You don't have to run an ad or cut a commercial or anything. Just go to the White House, take part, celebrate, just like everybody else celebrates with Republicans or Democratic presidents.
Especially when you're getting honored. Obama made specific mention of him during his 6-minute address.
That was Tim Thomas, hockey player in 2012, did not want to go to the White House. And on MSNBC, Neera Tanden, who is from the Center of American Progress, was a Biden and Obama operative, said, just go. Republicans and Democrats alike do this. Just go. Alex Wagner, the host, bullied the hockey player who didn't want to go. Didn't want to go to Obama. It was bad. This is the headline by Mary Clark, the progressive sports writer at USA Today. Quote, the U.S. men's hockey team utterly failed to meet the cultural moment. This is Dan Le Batard, who cheered on hockey players going to see Obama. Quote, the U.S. hockey players may not realize the political mess they've involved themselves in. This is Jessica Valenti. Jessica Valenti is a news writer and has written books and appeared across media outlets. Quote, I can't help but wonder how many of these players have daughters and whether they've told them that they can be hockey players one day too. How many have told them that the women's game matters just as much? Do they think their girls will still believe them after they hear their dads laugh? Jessica Valenti, you should know, did nothing to honor the women winning gold in overtime. She wrote nothing about the game, made no mention of the medals, didn't even do a repost of someone else on social media, and yet is mad at the men going to see the president. This is from the New York Times. Jerry Brewer. For a few hours on Sunday afternoon, the nation felt smaller. This America of vast divides and rickety social bridges deferred briefly to the unifying power of sports. Strangers high-fived in bars, grown-ups hugged with wet eyes. Politics and culture were suspended for the length of 3 heart-stopping periods of hockey and 1 cathartic overtime. The U.S. men's hockey team won Olympic gold for the first time since the Miracle on Ice 46 years ago, and for a time the joy belonged to everyone. By the next day, it didn't. In the immediate aftermath of their victory, the team took a customary congratulatory call from President Trump, and some players laughed at a misogynistic joke about the gold medal winning women's hockey team that many Americans wouldn't find funny. They celebrated in the locker room with beer-chugging FBI Director Kash Patel, who's now under scrutiny for using taxpayer funds to fund a sports getaway. Then, after a wild night of partying in Miami following their return from Italy, some members of the team announced plans to step into the House chamber, a stage upon which symbolism is never neutral, and make an appearance at Trump's State of the Union. In normal times, this would be an obligatory celebration for a championship team. They take presidential phone calls, they party too hard, they visit Washington and stroll through the corridors of power. But this isn't a neutral climate. This isn't a neutral president. And in a nation this polarized, the proximity carries weight, whether the players are being intentional or merely naive. America no longer experiences these rituals in the same way, and it may never again. Athletes would be wise to recognize that in this climate, celebration is easily repurposed into political capital. By whom? That's my question. By whom? Sports writers across America condemned a hockey player in 2012 because he didn't want to go to Barack Obama's White House. The same sports writers are in the year of our Lord 2026 condemning the hockey players for going to the State of the Union address of the President of the United States because the sports writers don't like the President of the United States. The people who said nothing about women's hockey winning gold are suddenly upset that the men laughed at the president inviting, quote unquote, their sisters. The president, by the way, did invite the women's hockey team, but they declined to go. Notice that the right is not beating up the women for not going. It's the left beating up the men for going. By the way, hockey is the second most conservative demographic of sports in the country. Hockey is very, very demographically right-coded, to use the word they use these days. You know what this is about, though, and Charles Cook at National Review, who, by the way, congratulations, Charles, on your, 8 years now as an American citizen. He made this point, and it is the point to be made, that the American sports writers and political pundits who are upset with the hockey team, they are against American plurality. They are against America being a pluralistic nation. I've mentioned that in this country, the Gallup polling has regularly showed that Democrats don't feel patriotism unless they're in charge of the country. But there is this underlying sentiment as well that these people don't like the country. They only like their segment of the country. They don't like that they have to coexist with people like you and me. And they don't like that these athletes could wish to cater to people like you and me and everyone else. They're so used to themselves being in charge. They're so used to themselves being vetted and feted and celebrated. They don't like it when normal people of America who aren't progressives get catered to. This writer at the New York Times says this is not a neutral climate. Who made it not a neutral climate? They could choose to make it a neutral climate. They're the ones who are on the attack. It's not Trump. It's not conservatives attacking. The Huffington Post. Video of men's hockey team returning to the U.S. is so bad, it's almost hard to watch. And they put a tweet up of a guy with a Palestinian flag and an Arabic script in his name that says won a gold medal but still came back as losers. This is the New York Times. Eileen Gu is the highest earner at the 2026 Winter Olympics. The scientist, politician, skier, model, and student is like a magician. The audience dazzled by her mastery, but somewhat irked by how she does it, our columnist writes. Same publication, U.S. men's hockey star Jack and Quinn Hughes responded to what Jack called the backlash the team faced surrounding their post-Olympic call with President Trump and his comments about the U.S. women's team. So they celebrated the Chinese communist sellout. Vox.com. Winner Eileen Gu won 3 medals, 1 gold and 2 silvers in Milan, and now has 6 total medals over the span of 2 quadrennials. She also made herself one of the most profitable and recognizable athletes of the 2026 Winter Olympics, as she reminded reporters this past week Gu is the most decorated free skier in history. And the losers, Vox.com, U.S. men's hockey team, even though they won a momentous and hard-fought gold medal game against chief rival Canada, the U.S. men's hockey team and its fans barely got a chance to savor it. Thanks to an Instagram Live and subsequent leaked video, we know the players partied with FBI Director Kash Patel and took a congratulatory phone call from President Donald Trump. During the call, Trump also made a joke about reluctantly having to invite U.S. women's team too. By the way, it was a joke. The president didn't mean it in jest, and the women's hockey team responded politely to the president and took the joke and wasn't offended by it. It was the sports writers of America who were vilifying the American hockey team. It was the American press corps and the political left that chose to attack the U.S. men's hockey team. Why? Because the President of the United States called to celebrate their win and invited them to the State of the Union. And the left wants resistance. The left wants everyone to resist. And if you don't resist, you're bad. If you don't resist, you're Hitler. If you don't resist, you're placating the Nazis. If you don't resist, you're on the wrong side of history. The men made history. None of these people on the left, none of these sports writers made history. These people will not be in the history books. The American hockey team will be in the history books, and it will be celebrated. It's celebrated by normal Americans. What these people, these sports writers, these pundits are showing is how not normal they are, how broken they are. They can't bring themselves to celebrate a win of an American sports team for the first time in 46 years because that team decided to go to the State of the Union. That team decided to allow Republicans to cheer them on. That team stood up and wrapped themselves in the American flag and said, "We love this country." Instead, the media has chosen to elevate a Chinese communist. Notice Elena True is her name. She was the ice skater. Her father stood up to the Chinese communists. The Chinese communists spied on her family. He took action to defend his family against the Chinese communists. They're not elevating her. They're elevating the one who turned to the Chinese communists. They're elevating the one who was put on the payroll by the Chinese communists. The American media is rooting for a Chinese communist while condemning the American men's hockey team. You can kind of get the sense that the president's right, that the press is the enemy of the people. The sports writers of America hate the country more than the political press. It's kind of gobsmacking to realize just how progressively partisan the sports writers of the United States have become. They truly hate the United States of America. They truly hate this country. And they truly hate the hockey players for not hating the country. It's absurd, the reaction. It's absurd. The hockey goalie for the American team was given the Secretary of Defense seal at the Pentagon. I assume you can get the joke. He was fantastic. He outperformed the rest of his team, frankly. At the Pentagon, they gave him the Secretary of Defense seal. He got attacked for that as well. I want to read you. This is from a hockey fan. Really disheartened to see your favorite player who seemingly advocates for LGBTQ plus rights to suck up to a pedo-misogynistic homophobe that is our president and what he stands for. Do better. You got that? Do better. They hate the success of the American hockey team because they hate the country. They hate the country because they don't control it. And they hate the country because they don't believe in the pluralism they profess to believe in. They can't be happy because you are happy. They can't be happy because your side won the election. And they feel compelled to condemn the American hockey team for their win, because the American hockey team came home and celebrated as Americans and went to the White House, invited by the President of the United States. And again, you will recall in 2012, when one of the hockey players refused to go to Obama, they attacked him for making it about politics. It's not just that they hate the pluralism and they hate their loss and they hate they're not in charge. They got to play Calvin ball to always try to win the argument. Let me tell you about one of the pains of home ownership. We had a dishwasher installed 2 years ago. Turns out it's been leaking behind the wall for 2 years. We did not know. Only when the dishwasher finally malfunctioned the other day did we know. Well, you know, if you have HomeServe, it's like a subscription for your home for as little as $4.99 a month. They have your back. Repairs hit fast and hard. You could be searching for a contractor in a panic, or you could be on the phone with HomeServe's 24/7 hotline scheduling a repair. With 4.5 million customers, a 4.8 out of 5 post-repair rating, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. They're the real deal. You want to deal with HomeServe if you want to protect your home and your wallet. Plans start as little as $4.99 a month. Go to homeserve.com to find the plan that's right for you. Homeserve.com. Not available anywhere else. Most plans range from $4.99 to $11.99 a month. Your first year terms apply on covered repairs. So I'm running a poll on my Twitter account. You can go find it. Should I fire Philip for real this time? He admitted last night he wasn't just rooting for Canada. He was actively rooting against the United States in that hockey game because he's a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, and the coach and several members of the team were playing on Team Canada against players from other teams. This is just how corrupting this sort of like tribalization can become. You root against your own country because the coach of your favorite NHL team and some of the players are on the other country's team. It's deeply corrosive stuff. I really do think I may have to actually fire him for real, and his whole family will be out on the street, and it'll be terrible for him, but it will be vengeance for the great United States of America against the Canadians and the traitors. I mean, he's like basically Philip is the Eileen Gu of my team. I mean, might as well be working for the Chinese communists under the table the way this goes. It's just deeply embarrassing, and I have to apologize to all of you, and we will send this to HR for immediate action against the traitor, siding with the Canadians. I mean, there are like real countries out there that you could root for. There are real countries out there, and then there is our top hat. Just deeply shameful, deeply shameful stuff. Deeply shameful. I apologize to all of you. He is kind of a welfare case, though, so we keep him on. Now, I have to tell you about Swiss America. Swiss America, by the way, they've got a blog now on their website. If you go to SwissAmerica.com, you can see their blog and their insights. You can get their podcast at Swiss America Trading on YouTube. You can also get it now on their website. Deeply informative stuff about current rates, about gold and silver. They're one of the leading companies dealing with precious metals in the country. They can keep you informed about bank rates. They can keep you informed about what the BRIC nations are doing. It's all right there on their website. You can go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric and get their report, The Secret War on Cash, as well. You want to learn more about precious metals, the ups and the downs, why it's going up, why silver went up and then went down. They educate you. They make you knowledgeable about precious metals as part of your investment strategy. If you are into your own strategies for investing, they can give you great tips and advice. You can find it all on their website at SwissAmerica.com. But also, if you go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric, you can get their report, or you can call them, or you can text them my name. Swiss America will give you the report completely free and tell you about the secret war on cash. They would love to have a relationship with you. Their phone number, all you have to do is text them my name to 800-289-2646. That's 800-289-2646. Message and data rates may apply. I have not spent a lot of time talking about Abigail Spanberger's response to the State of the Union last night. It was clearly had all the flags that AI had written it. My buddy Ben Domenech. By the way, congratulations, Ben Domenech, now going over to help the opinion writing team at the Daily Wire. They're building such a great team. He'll be a great asset to them. Ben pointed out that Abigail Spanberger's speech had lots of flags that it was actually written by AI, including its opening about being in the House of Burgesses and how she referred to it. What I find very notable is she gave it at Colonial Williamsburg, and the Alphabet Gang and others are furious that she gave it there because of its ties to slavery. There is no winning for the left on these things. They've become so radicalized, even against themselves. It wasn't a very memorable speech in and of itself, but the fact that the left is tearing her apart for giving it in Colonial Williamsburg, it just tells you all the problems you need to know about the American left. Now, back to the phones we go. Wheeler, you're going to be up next. Welcome to the show. How are you, Wheeler?
I'm pretty good. Listen, first of all, I know my time is short, but they're just evil people. I compare them to Spectre in the James Bond movie, sneaking around, doing stuff, don't really want to, and it's just like a football play. When the opposing side knows that the ball hit the ground, they'll never admit that because they want to win so bad. It's a very, very sad situation. And, Eric, 20 years, the simplest, the worst and the best things in life and in this country can be explained sometimes in the simplest way. 20 years ago, there were no cuss words on the radio. You couldn't do that. You couldn't say the F word, but you can imply it. I mean, and now they can say or do anything on the radio, as you know. And it's a very
well,
it's a very
not on
situation.
broadcast. We still get in trouble on broadcast.
Well, you know what I'm saying. I mean, they're not.
Yeah, I do.
20 years ago, and there's no going back. But how can the Democrats sit there when that young lady mother, the young lady that was stabbed on the subway, how can these people sit there and not be moved by that? It just amazes me. Thank God I live in Oklahoma, but it's just so sad that they could sit there during those things, and they like you said, they hate this country. These people hate the country, and it's beyond me. I don't. How do you fix that? How do you fix it when it's just like the Muslims and the Christians were battling, thousands of years ago, and now it's ancient hatreds and modern weapons. How do you go back when it's just bred into the
honestly,
children?
I think what has to happen is the will of the American public to make them wander in the wilderness for 40 years. The Democrats, unless they keep regularly being beaten, particularly in presidential elections, they're not going to feel the need to change. They're not going to recognize they have a problem. They're not going to start elevating the voices that actually love the country. They're not going to do that unless they keep getting beaten, particularly in presidential elections. Only if they keep getting beaten in presidential elections, and particularly can't get control of the Senate, will you have the Democratic donors and the Democratic base realize we have a problem. We really are disconnected. They actually believe they're more connected to the American public than you and me, and in their bubbles and their media networks, they're given the excuses to claim that, and we're going to have to keep beating them at the ballot box, particularly in presidential election years, for them to realize that actually they're the ones out of touch. Tyler in Orlando, Florida, you're going to be up next. Welcome to the show, Tyler. How are you?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
Great.
Hey, I had a comment about Team USA and whatnot. So I'm a pretty big NHL fan myself. And I completely agree with everything you were saying. And you can really leave it up to the American people tonight. Jack Hughes and the New Jersey Devils are going to play in Newark. They're playing against the Buffalo Sabres. I'm sure they're going to announce that with him and his gold medal, whatnot, and the crowd either cheers or boos. They're going to be the ones that really determine how they feel, not the sports writers and whatnot. I have a secondary comment.
Okay.
Jack Eichel, who was also on Team USA, he had won the Stanley Cup in 2023, and he attended the Biden White House. He also attended the Trump White House. I mean, these people only see one side, you know?
Oh, yeah. Look, they don't care. I mean, and again, were Barack Obama president or Joe Biden president, they would be attacking the players if the players didn't go. But because it's Donald Trump, they want the players to stand with them, that they have internalized the idea of resistance. And if you're not resisting, you're an enemy to them. And when the left has embraced this thinking, and by the way, there are portions of the right who are now embracing this thinking. What's the guy's name? Carl Schmitt, I believe, is the philosopher who came up with it, who, by the way, was not Nazi adjacent. He was a Nazi. And Carl Schmitt said the world can be divided between friends and enemies, and you should govern between friends and enemies. And that is the thinking of the left. It is a thinking that has become derived from a Nazi philosopher. It is being embraced by portions of the right as well. And I would just caution people on the right, you give in to that temptation, you become like the left, and the American people will hate you just as much as they hate the left. Remember, right now, Americans don't care for Donald Trump, but they are absolutely thoroughly displeased with the left. They hate the left right now because of how the left treats everyone as either a friend or an enemy. Americans don't view each other as friends and enemies. They view each other as Americans, as neighbors. But the partisans on the far left now and the far right view everyone in the friends-enemies dynamic. It comes from Carl Schmitt. He was a Nazi philosopher. And we see this played out in how they handle the hockey team right now. Anthony, you're going to be up next. Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show, Anthony.
Hey, Eric. Hey, nice to talk to you, man. I haven't talked to you in a while. Still praying for you and your family, man, that your wife is still doing good, man.
Thank you very much.
I got this comment. I watched the State of the Union last night, and I like what the president said toward the Democrats. You people are crazy, and I'm telling you, man. When I heard that, I said, "Go ahead and say what you want to say, Trump. Get it out." And he was right. You had two callers talking about profanity, and as the camera was spanning the crowd, you got supposed to be people with integrity sitting in the office with badges on them, with the F-bomb on them, saying F ISIS. And these are the people that supposed to be running our country. I wish the president will go forth and say, when he first came in office, I'm going to clean out the swamp. I wish that we come up with a two-term job for everyone, including the Supreme Court. These people are there too long. 90 years old. I'm just exaggerating. 90 years old, stuck in your ways. We can't get stuff done. You want to sit on your hands. You got a young girl that was almost mutilated, and they did nothing. They sit there. You got another young girl get stabbed, cut, and they sit there, and they say, this is America. I've been here all my life. I'm 68 years old in March. All my life. I've never seen it like this, and it's ridiculous. And I think they need to have a term limit for everyone that comes in. If you're there 8 years and you've done nothing, you're out. Get out. Go on down the road somewhere, and let's put some new blood in there.
Some new blood is necessary. And, for the longest time, Anthony, I actually resisted the idea of term limits because it's actually so much of it is staff-driven, and you should have term limits for the staff. But at this point, I'm like, yeah, it's time. We got people who have been in Congress for 20, 30 years. They're 90 years old. They've got dementia. It's time to get them out of there. Here in Georgia, there's Congressman David Scott. He was Kamala Harris's team put up a video last night of him. Looked like he was sleeping at the State of the Union address. He's ancient of days, in poor health, refuses to come back to Atlanta. He's being challenged now in the Democratic primary by people who want someone who can actually make a coherent sentence and be awake. The Democrats in particular have the most ancient of days members of Congress now. The average age of the Democrat in Congress versus a Republican is significantly higher. We got to do something to shake that up. I will say this on the Supreme Court, though. I like lifetime appointments. And the Supreme Court, by tradition, doesn't clap at the State of the Union except for clearly bipartisan moments. And so they clap for Team USA, and the rest of it, they kept themselves out of it. And the Joint Chiefs of Staff are the same way. The Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Supreme Court, by tradition, don't clap at the State of the Union and never have. But the Democrats, they're the ones who chose not to embrace a tradition of not clapping, but to say last night they weren't going to clap for anything, and they showed just how out of touch they were. Cheryl, welcome to the Eric Erickson Show. Cheryl, how are you?
I'm doing great, Eric. Thank you for taking my call, and I agree with what your caller just said. But everybody's asking, how can they not stand up? How can they not stand up? How can they not clap? How can they not feel it? And I ask that too, but one thing the Democrats are good at, and that's sticking together, sticking to the same playbook. And because they all agree, sit up and clap, they probably be ostracized. It's a show. And I guarantee you there were people there that were cringing because they weren't standing up and they weren't clapping, and they did feel something. But because they're a Democrat,
sure there were.
And that's what they do.
John Fetterman actually called him out today and said it was dumb to do. And yeah, there were some Democrats. And you're right, though, because they would tear apart any Democrat that stood up last night that wanted to stand up and clap. The other Democrats would assail them. They'd go after them like they did the hockey team because they're not part of La Resistance. And it is a hive mind. And sadly, we're seeing this also happen on the right more and more, where there are the bullies on the right who, if you want to stand up, you want to support the president or oppose the president, you want to take a stand on terrorists, for example, that goes against the orthodoxy of the president right now, you get eviscerated too. But there are still more people on the right willing to stand up and disagree than there are on the left, because it is a complete hive mind on the left on these issues. It's a complete hive mind issue for the left, which is thoroughly disappointing, by the way. Now, by the way, I got to pivot here. I want to play you some audio real quick. This is Gavin Newsom, his State of the State speech just a couple of weeks ago. This is important. Pay attention.
We've seen improved academic achievement in every subject area, at every grade level, in every student group, with greater gains of test scores for Black and Latino kids. That happened, and that's happening in California's public educational system. And it's a point of pride. It's a point of pride that those gains are particularly pronounced in Los Angeles, the nation's second largest school district. And I just want to say this to the teachers, the classified employees, and to the parents of LA Unified School kids. You should be very proud of your progress you're making, particularly proud of your leader, who's here, the superintendent of public education, Alberto Cavallo, who's here with us today, who's just been doing a remarkable job. Alberto, I appreciate you coming all the way up from Los Angeles. And just so you know, he's only been here a few years, but under his stewardship, the district is outpacing statewide progress. They're exceeding pre-pandemic levels in every category and reaching, get this, the highest levels recorded since the current state assessments were launched a decade ago. Under his leadership, that's happening in the nation's second largest school district. I say this all the time, you're nothing but a mirror of your consistent thoughts. Whatever you focus on, you'll find more of. And I don't think it's such a bad thing that we start focusing on what's right in terms of the investments we made and the return on the investments that we're experiencing. And the superintendent, I assure you, he's the first one to say and acknowledge that we have a lot more work to do.
That was the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, about 3 weeks ago at his State of the State address, giving praise to Alberto Carvalho, the school superintendent. Well, now there is some breaking news in Los Angeles. This is the local Fox affiliate there.
That's right, and we can confirm that FBI agents are here at LA Unified headquarters in downtown Los Angeles right now in an apparently very covert operation as they serve a search search warrant on what they say is an address and not necessarily a person, actually on 2 addresses. Let's start with a confirmation that we received from the FBI this morning. And take a look. In writing, they said, quote, "We can confirm that the FBI is serving a court-authorized warrant. However, the affidavit in support of the warrant has been sealed by the court, and we therefore have no further comment." The Department of Justice, which oversees the FBI, also basically saying the same thing, that they are serving a warrant, but a judge has signed that warrant, so it is sealed, and we cannot get the details on exactly what federal agents are looking for. I want to go to our Eye in the Sky, Skyfox in San Pedro right now over the superintendent's home. This is Superintendent Alberto Carvalho. We see a lot of vehicles there. The FBI usually uses private vehicles, undercover vehicles with no visible signage, so we don't know if agents are there, if they've been there, or they are planning to go there. Most likely, since we are already learning about it, they have already been there or are there currently. But again, my sources inside LA Unified tell me the FBI agents are here right now. The superintendent has an office on the 24th floor. It's a very private floor. You must be escorted into his office.
The FBI raiding the home and office of the LA Unified School District superintendent, who 3 weeks ago Gavin Newsom was praising for his progress in the schools there. This is happening now. The LA Unified Public School District superintendent has had his home and office raided this morning under a sealed investigation with a warrant to search his home and office. I have no idea why the FBI is raiding the home and office of the superintendent of schools in Los Angeles. I wonder if it's much like in Atlanta, Georgia, they had a massive cheating scandal. Lots of indictments there. It was a huge scandal where they essentially had teachers getting together and marking up kids' test scores and changing their answers to improve their scores. Completely upended city politics and county politics and the school board politics, obviously, had a number of people carted off to prison as a result. But this is under seal in Los Angeles. What's notable to me, though, is just a few weeks ago how the governor of California championed L.A. school superintendent and how test scores were going up rapidly there. And that when you have that sort of happen, it raises red flags in my mind after what happened here in Atlanta with the public school cheating scandal here. But I have no idea what exactly the situation is. The government is not saying at the time. What they are telling us is, however, confirming that there was a raid on the home of the L.A. County public school superintendent. Now, let me tell you about my Rinnai water heater. If you go to talkingtankless.com, that's the website. In fact, I don't think I've ever been there. Talkingtankless.com. Yeah, it's time to yank the tank. That's what it says there. You can find a Rinnai Pro. These are actually, a lot of people are wondering about affordability or do you need to be build a new house? No. If you have an existing house like I have, and I had 2 tank water heaters, they were electric. We got rid of them and replaced them with a single tankless Rinnai water heater. We have hot water all over our house, upstairs, downstairs. We never run out of it. It was reasonably priced. It runs on our propane tank. You can do natural gas as well. We have it plugged into a UPC backup. So when the power goes out in the house, it will still work. So we never run out of hot water. Unlike with our tank of water heater, you can yank the tank today and put in a tankless water heater courtesy of Rinnai. Go to talkingtankless.com. There's a button right there. It says find a Rinnai Pro. They can install one for you. They're the size of a small carry-on suitcase. And we've got one that covers our entire house. And no one runs out of hot water in our house anymore. The kids don't fight over hot water, and our power bill went down since we got rid of electric water heaters. Yank your tank. Go to talkingtankless.com. Get a Rinnai water heater in your house today. Yank the tank. talkingtankless.com.